Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Yeah, and I will say that your ETF is still new, but considering all things, it actually has a good performance. It may not necessarily look. First of all, it hasn't lost money. That's always a positive.
Most important.
Well, if you're comparing it to the S&P 500, that's hard because the S&P 500 is all U.S. and it's a global all cap. But if you compare it to other global all cap indexes, the performance is beautiful.
Yeah, well, like it started at $15 in 2020, and then it peaked at $18 in last November. And obviously the stock market is down right now, so it's at 1561 right now. But it was on a nice run. It was on a nice run leading up into when the whole stock market as a whole went down. So definitely.
Absolutely.
Art, what would you be if you were pitching this to? Because this is this the big show. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm be completely like New York Times. Like New York Times is a big publication, but this is a really big deal. So
the difference between the New York Times and your audience is that I believe your audience actually takes action.
Exactly.
So,
that's the difference. That's the difference. Great job.
Exactly. So if you were pitching this, if you just want to enlighten people, like what would be your optimistic pitch on why somebody should invest from an economic standpoint, looking to make money?
So in the long term, what you actually want is stable, sustainable returns. And you don't get those by extracting from people on the planet. You get those by investing in companies that already have started thinking about this and are ahead of the curve. And the only way that you're really going to get that is by working with asset managers who come from the communities for which you're actually seeking justice. So the fact that we are a different set of people in an asset management industry that's almost entirely white and male, and that we're looking at a different set of data, there's a competitive advantage there, but that competitive advantage isn't short term. It's actually a long-term advantage because we're looking at true sustainability for the life of a portfolio. And I think that's ultimately, I know it's fun to play in short term and at the edges, but ultimately that's what we all want is financial freedom. And so it's financial freedom that you don't have to sell your soul to get.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, how do we also rally to get financial advisors, asset managers, family offices, fund of funds to support when, let's say, the cards may be stacked in our favor and they may not be in favor of these social justice issues?
So the number one thing they always tell us is that it's all about their clients, the client demand. And so the clients have to tell their asset allocator that I want this particular fund. Or another way to get at it is just to say, listen, I want my asset management, I want the asset management to reflect the general demographics. And if you just start there, you'll automatically get a huge increase because there aren't very many of us in the marketplace. So, you aren't trying to do anything special. Just, make sure that you have as many Black portfolio managers, right, as there are generally in the population. The thing that we ask, if people want the thing that really gets in the way is something called due diligence, which is when these asset allocators go through and say, we're going to look at your 3-year track record and how much you have under management and all of these other factors. And what it does is it selects for those who already manage money. And those people all happen to be white and male. And what we've created is something called the Due Diligence 2.0 commitment. If you go to duediligencecommitment.com, and I can even put it in here in the chat. It's a long one. Yeah, right. Due Diligence Commitment.com. You can see it's actually a commitment to reform the way that due diligence is done such that BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color managers aren't systematically left out. Because basically we fall out of these due diligence processes on a regular basis. Let me see if
and for those of you looking to break into the industry, even on the PR side, if you don't have a certain amount of assets under management, certain connections, it's going to be hard for you to break through. Rashad, you was just talking about that last week, how a lot of financial advisors that were Black couldn't get a certain amount of money under management, and it made their career path and journey a hell of a lot harder. So is there anything with both of you having experience could tell our audience to do to begin building a career in unison in the space so we can begin to have an impact and influence on the assets or the ETFs that are picked up with the asset managers?
Yeah, get yourself some support, because I got to tell you, listen, Wall Street was built by slaves. The first bond that was ever created was a mortgage-backed bond, but it wasn't a mortgage on a house. It was on a mortgage on a slave's body.
Yep.
The financial system was built on our bodies and built on extracting wealth from us. And so you need to get some support when you come into the financial services industry. Don't try to go it alone and fit in. It's not going to work. Join associations like Quad A, which is the African American Association. Oh, I'm going to get that one wrong. Quad A is, they're going to be mad at me. But it's
Mike, edit this out.
What's that? You got it. Okay. So join that association, become part of any of the the Racial Justice Investing Coalition. You can find them online. One of our folks started that. Get yourself some community, because you are going into the belly of the beast. And I have to just tell you that, like, all of the isms that have made the world what we're dealing with today, like, all back right up into finance, and it's raw there. It's like, my family's from the South, and there's a reason I don't go there that often. And one of the reasons is because, like, sometimes the racism can be so raw. I got to tell you, and financial services as a profession is very, very similar.
Let me ask you this before we go. I
love the South, to be clear. I do go to the South, but, like, it's always,
What part of the South is your family from?
Pardon me?
What part of the South is your family from?
Texas. Fast drop.
Yeah, we might know some people out there.
Yeah, we going out there, Austin.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I know Shadi got one more too. Obviously, on a day-to-day basis, this is a lot. If somebody was interested in being part of your team, well, first of all, how big is the team that you have now working with you? And if somebody was interested in being a part of it, what would they have to do? Because I know there's a lot of people here saying, like, this is amazing. She's incredible. How can I be a part of this mission? I support it. I want to be part of the vision. Is there a way?
This is so exciting that you're asking us, because we are hiring right now. We seem to not be able to stop hiring. So if you go to our website, I don't know that I've made that link as easy as I wanted to. Here you go. Was it Adesina?
And put it in chat.
Yep, yeah. I will.
Can you put it on YouTube? Somebody put it on YouTube. It's the website?
Yeah, it's the Adesina.com. It's our page where we have open positions. But here's the thing, like, also find me. YouTube. I tend to be, I'm taking your advice. I'm gonna get more fully on Instagram. But I tend to be on LinkedIn and Twitter. My handle on Twitter is at @RRobashoti, which nobody can spell. And I'm pretty easy to find by that last name on LinkedIn, but please reach out, because even if you're not a fit for a position at our firm, it's a relatively small community, but we've really built up a community of good places for you. You don't have to start out, at some shop that's making you cold call people all the time. There's plenty of good work in the industry, and everyone, thank goodness, is now saying they want diversity in their asset management firms. So there are lots of opportunities. I would say don't get discouraged. We're creating places for you.
Yeah, I just pinned it on YouTube also. So the last question before I want to go to some question and answers, because we haven't done this in a few weeks. If you want to stay around, definitely feel free. All right. But so the last question I have for you is when we were talking on the phone and you were saying that, I forgot exactly how you stated it, but you was like 99 or something point crazy percent. It's like all like white male, and it was like, it's not even enough to really just put like Black people. You got to classify Black people, women, men, like Hispanics all together just to get enough of a percentage. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. So you're talking about, I was quoting this study. It's the Diverse Asset Manager Study from the Knight Foundation. They hired a Harvard professor and researcher to do work on who owns the asset management firms, this foundation. And the firms owned by both women and minorities combined manage 1.3% of assets out of $69 trillion. A good chunk of which, our ancestors are directly responsible for creating some of that wealth that's been passed down. 1.3%. And when the professor was asked why they put together women and minorities, he said, I couldn't get the slice to show up on the graph if it went below 1%. And so, by the way, I had to make the ownership be 25% or more. If you actually, like, you had to lump women and people of color and say that and that the ownership was only 25% or more. If what you want is just to look at women and people of color that are majority owned, it's less than 1%. It's 0.9. And you still have to lump them together to get 0.9%.
So that's
the reason the world is the way it is, you know?
That's extremely important and extremely disturbing for people to fully understand. So out of $69 trillion of assets under management, 1.3% of those firms are run by women and people of color, which people of color is just everything.
Right, it's everyone.
It's everyone. And the reason why that is because they couldn't even do it just on individual basis because the percentage would be so low. So they have to put women and people of color together to equal 1.3% out of 69 trillion. And this is why, like,
that's not even majority. Yeah.
We had a gentleman from CNBC that came on a few weeks ago and he's talking about the wealth gap. And, you know, a lot, like I said, people was just like, they don't believe in it. And it's like, well, you got to really start to understand. And then look, you got to start looking like there's levels to this. There's really levels to this. And it's like, when you look at wealth, like real wealth and who controls those real wealth. Like, so obviously one part of the story is that 99% of the asset managers in the world are white. But the other part is that majority of their clients are white also. So you're talking about $69 trillion of assets being managed. What do you think the percentage of that belongs to white people is, as opposed to what belongs to Black people? So
I can tell you right now, it's less than, it is greater than the asset managers. The public has come along so much faster than the asset management industry. I'm telling you, it's the great holdout. It's like, oh no, that's nice. You can get civil rights. You can get like laws. You can get representation on TV. Oh wait, but you wanted us to give you the assets?
Oh, can't touch the money.
We're like, we don't actually transfer money.
Hammer time.
Like, I can't even tell you the number of times I've had people be like, well, can I hire you to educate us? And I was like, no, you can hire me to manage the money. But like, you know, very, very large institutions will be like, well, we just, you know, we want to pay you just a certain amount just to educate us and our asset managers. And I'm like the money is not transferring fast enough in order for us to make real change. Because you know, when we get in there, we tear shit up. So
let me do one final question, please.
Big fact.
So we know the challenges. What are the top 3 skill sets that you would want in someone that you would hire? And also, we're going to be very honest. We have to get high returns to get equal footing. What kind of returns will African-American male or woman have to get to stand out in the industry, knowing that there are some challenges there that keep us out of these positions?
Are you saying like as an asset manager on their own, what kind of returns do they have to get?
Yes.
I mean, there's
got a bunch of creative investors here.
I know. I'm like, there's no way we could have created a portfolio like without beating a benchmark. You got to beat the benchmark, and it just depends on what your benchmark is. So like with us, we're always looking like, how are we doing compared to a global all cap benchmark? When we look at JSTC, I mean, you're gonna have to beat it. But those benchmarks change every year, depending on whether you're looking at the S&P 500, which is all US and large cap, or if you're looking at the FTSE all cap global, right? So that's true for any asset manager. And I think it's crazy unfortunate and also still true that just like when you see a Black woman that's a surgeon, like, you know, she's the best surgeon in her class. You know she was because she had to be. It's very similar. Like you have to kind of outperform. Thankfully, we're very data analytics based. So if people are fine with crunching numbers, have social justice chops, and know how to communicate well, we have hired lots of people who haven't already managed portfolios and haven't already delivered huge returns. We've hired plenty of people just because they have the basic skills that are required. And because that actually matters most of all. The intersection between racial justice and financial markets has basically been non-existent before Adesina. So if you have that intersection, if you've been listening to this show, right, and you have some background in finance, reach out to us.
Get hired.
Reach out to us. It's a rare skill set to overlap there.
There you have it. Graduated Market Mondays University with honors.
Fact.
You too can be a wealth manager.
This that. Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Your
Whole
boy.
clique going up. I know they can't stand it.